Good couple games that you've had
Started
lately.
streaming and recording the show.
Okay, I'm waiting for it to pop up here,
Okay.
so I can prove that it is. There it goes.
Instead of doing paper copies, I decided to, I'll just share it with you guys on Google Drive this week.
What?
This month.
That's fine.
Yeah. Same with the paper.
Totally good. I'm gonna mute this. Alright, it is working. So we are live, thankfully.
Okay.
Last meeting I just assumed.
You what?
Last meeting I assumed.
Yeah.
We were kind of like quick right before the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I didn't record because there was internet issues. So
I remember, yeah.
today I was like, let me just make sure.
Just to be sure.
Mm-hmm. I think we're live. There we go. Matt, we're up and running there, just so you know.
Good.
It is going, Bill.
So I was tired. Man, I said, did you message Michelle? I said, that's not for me, Miss Michelle, that's for you. I said, not going there. Do we know what time Corey's getting here? Is he?
I knew he was going to be late.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. I think so. We can check it out. No, I'll just turn it up here and see.
He tested this out.
Hello. Hello? Hello?
Testing on volume?
I can hear it. Excellent. All right, at 6 o'clock. So I'd like to call the meeting of October 9th to order. It is 6 p.m. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good?
You can see the screen.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yep, sorry.
are there any additions to the agenda tonight?
Yes, I would like to add under 6.4, varsity ice hockey combination with Casanova.
Okay. Anybody else? Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 12th?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion on those? All those in favor?
Aye.
For the consent agenda today, it's 3.1 through 3.5. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as recommended by the superintendent?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion on the treasurer's report, consideration of claims, transportation report, cafeteria report, or audit report? All those in favor?
Aye.
We have no old business. And that brings us to the first community participation. So if you would like to come forward, please remember that we have a policy for that. State your name if you could, and keep to the time frame of 5 minutes. For anybody online, if you have any comments, please put them in the chat and we will get to them at the next time period. But seeing nobody move here, we will start to move on from there. That brings us to 6.1, which is personnel. We have one resignation, a motion to approve the resignation of, Bill?
Juana Montoya Acevas.
Sorry, Juana, I didn't want to say your name wrong. As teacher aide effective October 4th, as recommended by the by the director of PPS and the superintendent, with sincere appreciation for services rendered to the district.
I'll move.
Second.
The discussion would be an executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the leave of absence for child rearing purposes for Lauren Reynolds with tentative dates of December 16th through March 10th as recommended by the superintendent.
Move. Second.
Any discussion would be an executive session other than congratulations. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good on all things. I need a motion to approve the leave of absence for child rearing purposes for Victoria Putze with tentative dates of December 9th through June 22nd as recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion would be an executive session other than congratulations. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Need a motion to approve Todd Conklin, Glenn Marsala, Dwayne Martinez, and Wendy Van Steinberg to the substitute list as recommended by the administrative team and superintendent.
Move.
Second.
Any discussion would be an executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the advisors and volunteers for 2024-2025 middle school production as provided for contractual language and recommended by the secondary principal and superintendent.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the appointment of Magale Mayer as a part-time food service helper effective October 10th, as recommended by the food service manager and superintendent.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion would be an executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the recommendation of the committees on special education and preschool special education.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion would be an executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That brings us to policies. Today we have first reads and second reads, and I'll turn it over to The policy group.
Some changes under the first reading, equity, inclusivity, diversity, and education. The only change there is what we discussed before, to include 2 board members. And that's a change from 1.
Should that be listed under first read and second read?
Yeah, so that,
Can you explain that?
we can, it's possible for us to do both a first, second reading in the
Okay.
same meeting. We don't typically do that. But since we've discussed this already before,
Okay.
and to make that change happen before waiting until the next meeting,
Makes
we
sense.
propose just doing that today, and then we can pass that to get that official. So
And
that
that'll
idea
allow
was,
us to convene the committee.
yeah,
Perfect.
and this would allow us to expand to have 2 board members on that committee.
Thank you for explaining.
School wellness policy, small update on the language on the establishment of nutritional guidelines. Drug and alcohol testing is updating the policy document to be more legible. Rights of nursing employees to express breast milk, that's new required policy. And the second reading of the inclusivity policy is what we just discussed.
And the wellness is, that's a mandated from federal law, actually, so there might be some things in there that aren't the practice we currently have, but they're mandated, and that's why they're set the way they are.
And then the other 2,
That's all.
So, yeah.
drug and alcohol. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. I was still in school wellness when you were talking about the other 2. So in my head, they're all the same.
So we'll need an approval on the
Approval.
equity.
So I need a motion to approve the policy 0013 on equity, inclusivity, and diversity in education.
I'll move.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
That brings us to 6.4 with combined sports. I need a motion to approve Hamilton's participation in the following combined sports for 2024-2025 as recommended by the athletic coordinator and superintendent. It's JV and varsity wrestling with VBS. Currently, there's 1. And varsity ice hockey with Cazenovia, tentatively 3. I need a motion.
Move.
Second?
Any discussion?
Thank you to VBS and Cazenovia.
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to accept the following monetary donations with sincere appreciation and to increase the budget by the amounts recommended by the business manager and the superintendent.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion?
Just wondering what the VR learning tool is. Do we know what that's being used for?
The VR, yeah.
The
The
VR.
Emerald
It's a
Foundation?
virtual reality, it's Monica Chamberlain.
Caught
Monica
that.
Chamberlain.
I was wondering who was doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So thank you to all 3 that donated the money. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Brings us to information and correspondence. First up is Bill.
So in addition to my written report, there's 4 updates I would like to share with you. Jen, at the last board meeting, you brought up the grant that Canastota Central School. I had Matt look into that. They did receive a grant through Amazon. It was $1,500 in school supplies through an Amazon donation. It wasn't a grant. They were selected through the regional division and as part of Amazon's support a local organization campaign. The Syracuse team who awarded the grant had criteria they used to identify an organization, and Canastota met the criteria. Part of the selection was based on their participation as a community school, which we are not. As typically in the case, many cases, it was need-based and we did not qualify or don't qualify. So I just wanted to give you an update.
Yeah,
They
thanks
did.
for looking into that.
Absolutely, yep. Okay, great news. 3. items of great news. We received this week a check for $248,601 from Colgate University as a voluntary contribution for the school year. So thank you very much to
Wow.
President Casey,
Thank you,
J.S.
Colgate.
Hope, and Joanne Borfitz for that generous contribution. That helps immensely. So we can't say enough thank yous to them and what that helps us provide for our learning community. So a huge shout out and thank you to them. We were just notified that, again, Niche has recognized us as a top performing school district in New York State. We are the #2 school in Madison County. We are 193 out of 598 schools in New York State. We are the #1 school in Madison County as best places to teach. We are #3 in Madison County for the best schools for athletes. We are #2 in Madison County for the best school districts, and #3 in the county for the best teachers. So
That's awesome.
all really good recognitions. Our overall score was a B+, and we continue to do really great things. So that's a nice recognition that we have received many years and we continue to receive. Another recognition that we received that we're really proud of is the AP Honor Roll designated us as a gold standard school for our results on the AP exams. So we are 70% gold in college culture, 53% platinum for college credit, 33% platinum for college optimization, which puts us as an overall gold standard school. So great recognitions. So really proud of that. So that is all the good news for tonight.
That's awesome.
You like good news?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say though, I think we are higher than #3 for teachers.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So
So
just
we're gonna
say.
have to have a
Have to
talk
have a
with
conversation.
Niche.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with them on that,
Absolutely.
but I'll take 3.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
A lot of big schools that we're competing against and a lot of small schools, and we continue to do great things and are recognized for the great things that our teachers do on a day-to-day basis. I know Meg is back there as the HTA president, and shout out to them, shout out to our support staff. Everybody who has a hand in our learning community has a hand in these recognitions, and we are truly a family that gets it done. So very proud.
Meg, please extend our thanks to the faculty too.
Administrative reports, questions, comments on what they submitted and what's posted. As always, I am very appreciative for them submitting, keeping us up to date what's going on in each of their areas. It's helpful, and yeah, just very much appreciate being able to see what's going on
Sure.
from their lens. Athletic report is also posted. Any questions, comments there? Okay. Business manager report.
Now that, other than 23-24 being complete, this kind of ties a bow on 23-24, we'll get that submitted, and with that, that turns our attention to 25-26. So probably next month at the November board meeting, we'll be approving the budget calendar for 25-26, and it'll be on us quickly.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Thank you for everything. We have a student board member report, and it has been emailed to all of us, so if you want to open that. But Colin will go through it as well.
Okay, so this month I reached out to our middle school students to see their feedback on the cell phone policy now that it's been in place for a couple weeks. And so I've gotten 3 main takeaways. Some of the data I received was kind of split, but these 3 were very obvious throughout it. So number 1, most middle school students do not bring cell phones to school. I didn't know that. That surprised me. But yeah, talking with the teachers and then in my survey, yeah, only 42% bring a phone and 28% bring a smartwatch. So I thought that was interesting. And then especially the sixth graders, which I guess I would expect out of that whole group, were less likely to bring phones. Some of the reasons I thought were interesting, some of them were a little obvious, like they didn't have a cell phone or their parents chose for them to leave it at home. But one of the ones that I didn't expect was that now that the policy is in place where they cannot have their phones during the school day, some of them are choosing not to bring it even though they had before. Some of that has to do with just not needing it and not being able to use it, but some of it has to do with maybe they don't want to put it in the locker. It's more of a hassle than it's benefiting them to have it.
Interesting.
Which I thought was an interesting side effect.
Yeah.
Number
Just not
two.
a bad thing.
Is that one we were going for?
Yeah. Number two, communication between students has been positively impacted. Seeing a lot more face-to-face conversations, conversations that are less reliant on having a cell phone or social media. I thought that was really great just to see our students being able to interact more with each other and less with their devices. Let's see. The one thing that came up that some of the middle school students were asking for is potentially a time during the day, maybe it's lunch or maybe it's 5 minutes here or there where they could contact their parents. They talked about how they do have the ability to go down to the office now and make a phone call to their parents, but for some things they felt it was a little bit of a hassle, especially if it's just, hey mom, I need my shin guards for soccer practice or something like that. So they did appreciate last year having their phones to be able to do those quick messages, but yeah, this year I think that cell phone policy is really implementing well. I was very pleasantly surprised to see that.
Very good. Well, thank you for checking in with them and giving that
Yeah.
report from your perspective as well.
Yeah,
Questions?
thanks, Colin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When you surveyed the kids, how did you do that survey?
I put together a Google form with some questions, and then I had some of the English department for the middle school, and then for the sixth graders I had Mrs. Chamberlain just have them do the survey at some point during the day.
Great.
So I got,
great.
I think most of the middle schoolers covered.
That's awesome.
That was awesome.
Good work, Colin. Thank
This was
you.
really great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Knowledge sharing, elementary steering committee.
We had our first meeting. We talked about, we just kind of talked a little bit about the shared decision-making plan and how, just kind of reviewing that, which we do at the beginning of every year. And then we talk about the, what we're gonna put on the agenda for the year. So the first thing that came up was AI in the classroom and how that might be used even in the elementary classrooms, not to replace any schoolwork that's being done, but just to kind of use it as a tool. If a teacher, one example that came up was if a teacher is really busy helping somebody, you can kind of feed, a third grader could feed a paper into an AI or type it in and have them review it and give comments, and then they can revise it just to get some feedback, but how not to use it as a replacement, but teaching them how to use it in appropriate ways, but starting at a younger age. So we kind of talked about that as just something to consider this year. There was the discussion too for quite a while about cell phone policy in middle school and if that would translate at all into elementary school. Not a lot of elementary students have devices except watches, and they're not by and large a problem, but there are some times that it goes off in school. A lot of times it's, accidental phone calls. My kids occasionally make accidental phone calls on their watches because it just goes off if it's not silenced. I think that what we're going to or what Heather's gonna do is send out a survey to teachers and aides and everybody that works in elementary to see if it's a problem. And then in what way they would want to, would they wanna, for example, put their phones in their, or watches, it's mostly smart watches or gizmo watches, in their backpacks for the day, in their locker, and they stay there? Or would the teacher collect them? Because they don't change classes, you know, they're just in one classroom by and large for the entire day. So she's gonna get some information for that, and then once we get that feedback, we'll kind of talk about it a little bit more and see if anything needs to happen in the elementary for that. What else? We did some talking about applying for a grant from the CNY Community Foundation that can only be used in kind of very specific ways, but also sending out I think Heather really likes surveys. So sending out a survey to see kind of what needs teachers might have for either equipment or after-school programs came up, if there's any of those that might need funding to kind of supplement what's happening in school. So we talked about that. So we're just gonna put out a survey for that. We also talked about HCS reads, just way in advance. That doesn't happen until much later in the year. But the feedback that we received, or that she received last year, some, you know, it was kind of mixed. So do we want to kind of revamp that? Would we do it's an expensive program too, to have to provide a book for everybody. So instead, you know, do we want to we're going to keep talking about it, but do we still want to do the HCS Reads program? Or maybe move back as reading partners and kind of engage parents then? And that was kind of looked at too as an opportunity to get parents more involved in the classroom. And getting involved, like being guest readers in the classroom throughout the year. So we talked a bit about that.
Does PARP as it used to be still exist?
I don't know.
What
I
was
still
that,
know
Jen?
it as PARP.
PARP, like, does it still exist? Is the program that it?
We do what she was just talking about.
Okay. Right. Well, I knew we did that. I just didn't know if PARP as a whole existed. Okay.
Okay. But maybe just looking at whether that's going to continue as the HCS
Yeah.
reads or gear towards something different. And then we were talking just very broadly about how to kind of build community in the elementary classrooms and getting more parent involvement. So not just reading maybe during that time of year, but maybe occasionally. One idea was that you could have teachers could have a sign-up sheet during parent-teacher conferences where they could sign up to just read in the classroom every once in a while. And also building relationships between like upper elementary and lower elementary with writing workshops and having buddy classrooms. I think they did it during the Global Day of Play, so kind of trying to foster some of that older, younger mixing in the elementary school. So one classroom that was interesting, based on a book I think that Heather read over the summer, one of the classrooms is implementing jobs for students, kind of so each student in this, I think it's a 5th grade classroom, they all have a job that they do in the classroom. And I think that's kind of cool. It kind of gives them ownership over the classroom and you know, a sense of importance or, you know, value in the classroom. And I thought that was kind of cool. I think only one classroom is doing it, but I know that over the summer, Heather was really kind of inspired by this concept in this book. So maybe we'll see that grow. I'm not really sure, but kind of exciting stuff in elementary, yeah.
Much more exciting than secondary. We had our first meeting last night, but everybody that was there was new, and so it was really just an introduction meeting. Mark did a great job giving us what is this committee for, so everybody had a base and we could all start from the same place. We did introductions. He showed us the share drive that we have that they've used for years so that we can look back and see what's happened and what we could work on. Talked about previous projects in that sense and started to get ideas about things that we might want to tackle, but a lot of it is prepping us so that we could start the agendas for next month. We'll meet on the 12th of November and hopefully have, you know, stewed on things a little bit to kind of have an idea of what direction everybody in the space wants to take or directions. But it was a good introductory meeting. We were together for 45 minutes, so you know, we spent good time, but some of the people couldn't make it, and so it was, again, just learning. It was a good learning meeting, but we'll get some work started soon. So inclusivity hasn't met yet, correct?
We're working on getting a date set soon to our first meeting. So more to come. I do want to share a couple other things. We talked about the LGBTQ club GSA idea. I just got some anonymous feedback from a student. Just wanted to pass it on. The question is, could we set up a Google form to gather sort of interest from students? So if we could do that, that'd be great. I also had an AAPI meetup that was organized by NISBA, and it was just getting to know some of the other AAPI board members in New York State. It was there wasn't a particular agenda. We were just getting to know each other, and it was a pretty great meeting. It was very diverse. There was a Muslim board member, a Latina board member. So it was. I felt it was very diversely represented, and looking forward to another one to see sort of if there's if we can get more people to show up and see where we can go with that. So more to come on that as well.
Great,
Nice.
thanks. Advocacy?
We had our final resolutions committee meeting yesterday. We have the big annual meeting tomorrow. We've put lots of processes in place. We had a Q&A session, lots of stuff. So we're really, really, really hoping it does not go until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning like it has in many, many years past.
Good luck with that.
We're hoping. So thank you. I've taken everyone that gave me feedback, and that is how I will vote for our district based on that feedback. We were all pretty much along the same lines. And I'll let you guys know, like I normally do, what resolutions they'll move forward for NISBA's advocacy efforts for the next year. So,
Yes.
Good luck with that meeting.
thanks.
I know, that was a lot of reading. I was
It's
like,
a
I'm
lot,
only-
and I've
I'm
got
only
to
on
sit through it 3
resolution
times because now I'm
25,
on
yeah.
resolutions committee, so it's a lot. But it's really good work.
Yeah.
And it's nice that NISBA opens it up to hear from districts, and they don't just assume what we want. They really
Yeah.
listen, and so it's a good group.
And thank you for taking our feedback also. 'cause that-
Absolutely.
Next up is the board discussion. So tonight I asked to put board discussion on here because a few weeks ago we had a safety incident in school. There's been lots of talk through the community amongst ourselves, students, parents, and community members at whole. So I thought we would spend a few minutes to talk about that. I'd first like to turn it over to Bill to talk about what steps, things we are doing,
Sure.
and then open it up from there.
So I wrote them down, I'm gonna read them because there's a lot, but I thought it's important for everyone listening here as a board to kind of take a step and listen to all of the layers of safety that we have put in place over the last couple of years, because I think it's important. You know, when you look at school safety, the more layers, the better. And I think we've done a nice job both from a physical standpoint, from a building, and from a social emotional standpoint, and from practices and processes in the building to identify and help with social emotional learning and restorative practices. So I'm just going to read through this, so bear with me. This is going to be long, but I think it's very important. So, number 1, a single point of entry. We've enforced a single point of entry at the main entryway, ensuring that access to our building is closely monitored. This helps us control and oversee who's entering and exiting the premises throughout the day. Number 2, visitor check-in protocols. All visitors are required to go through an enhanced check-in process and logging their visit to maintain accurate records and limit access to authorized individuals only. Number 3, safety film installation. In our last capital project, to strengthen the security of our buildings, we installed safety film on all the front entryway and other areas with extensive glass. This safety feature provides an extra layer of protection by making it more difficult for intrusions to occur. Number 4, extensive safety plans. Our district has developed and continues to refine our comprehensive safety plans that prepare our staff and students for various emergency scenarios. These plans are reviewed regularly with the help of outside resources, state police, Hamilton Police, emergency management systems, and updated to meet best practices in school safety. Number 5, crisis intervention team and protocols. We've enhanced our crisis intervention team and the protocols that guide our response to incidents. This team has been trained to respond quickly and effectively to any potential crisis, ensuring the safety of all individuals in our buildings. Number 6, enhanced security camera coverage. We've increased the number of security cameras both inside and outside of our buildings to provide real-time monitoring and aid in incident response. This allows us to maintain constant vigilance over key areas and improve our ability to identify and address potential safety concerns. Number 7, enhanced classroom safety locks. We've upgraded the locks in all classrooms to allow for quicker lockdowns when necessary, ensuring that students and staff can quickly secure their spaces during emergencies. Number 8, upgraded PA system. Our public address system has been enhanced to ensure clear communication across the entire school in the event of emergency. The ability to deliver clear, timely announcements is crucial in guiding staff and students through emergency situations. Number 9, increased social emotional supports. Recognize the importance of addressing the emotional well-being of our students. We've expanded our SEL team and increased the availability of social emotional programs and supports. These efforts aim to foster a positive school climate, reduce behavioral issues, and address students' emotional needs before they escalate into larger concerns. Number 10, intake meetings and individual safety plans for students of concern. For students who have posed a threat, we conduct intake meetings and develop individualized safety plans to address the specific needs of the student while ensuring the safety of others. These plans are created in collaboration with school administrators, mental health professionals, and the student's family to establish clear guidelines for behavior, monitoring, and support. Regular reviews of these plans ensure that they remain effective and responsive to any changes in the student's behavior. Number 11, a shift to restorative practices. In alignment with our commitment to a safe and supportive and learning environment, we are making a district-wide shift toward restorative practices. This approach focuses on building relationships, fostering open communication, and resolving conflicts through understanding and accountability. Restorative practices aim to reduce disciplinary incidences by addressing the root causes of behavioral issues and encouraging positive relationships between students and staff. In terms of school safety, this shift strengthens our prevention efforts by promoting a culture of respect and responsibility while also offering structured pathways for conflict resolution that de-escalate situations before they become larger safety concerns. Restorative practices support the holistic well-being of our school community, complementing our other safety measures. Exploration for future safety upgrades. Looking ahead, we're exploring several safety upgrades in our next capital project. One such upgrade is the integration of an enhanced PA and blue light system, which will allow for more comprehensive communication and control within the building. The system will ensure that all parts of the building are covered by the PA system so that everyone can hear emergency messages. In addition to audio announcements, blue lights will serve as a visual indicator of an emergency both inside and outside the building. We are also considering scrolling message boards to accompany the lights, providing another layer of emergency communication. We're also exploring the installation of magnetic hold-open doors controlled by our access control system. These doors would automatically close and secure during a lockdown procedure, which can be programmed to notify law enforcement, activate the blue lights, trigger pre-recorded messages, and manage other lockdown features. This would provide a more seamless and automated response in the event of a security threat. Lastly, collaboration with the Hamilton Police Department. To further enhance safety, we remain in discussions with the Hamilton Police Department to have an officer on campus during key times such as drop-off and pickup, as well as periodically throughout the day. This collaboration would serve both as a proactive measure to deter potential threats and as an immediate resource for handling emergencies. We continually to evaluate and evolve all of our safety measures, and I think with these layered approaches, it's really enhancing our security and safety here at HCS.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I know that there are other concerns and other things that we have talked about, and so I want to make sure that we have time to talk as a group, and go off of the things that Bill has spoken about and go from there. So I open the floor.
In response to the recent concerns raised by our community and the incident a few weeks ago, we want to address the important topic of school safety. We understand that safety is a top priority for our school community and want to be transparent about our decision regarding the school resource officer SRO position made last school year. The decision was made after careful consideration of various factors, all of which prioritize the well-being of our students and staff. 1, holistic safety approach. The current safety plan includes advanced building security measures, a dedicated social emotional learning team, mental health support, and an online reporting system. These resources are essential, and I fully support them as critical elements of our overall strategy. While we, the board, chose to implement a broader safety plan at the time, I remain a strong advocate for continually exploring additional safety measures, including the possibility of hiring an SRO in the future. 2, collaborative relationships with law enforcement. I appreciate the partnerships we have with local law enforcement and first responders, ensuring that in emergencies our school is well prepared to respond swiftly. However, I believe having a dedicated individual on campus would further strengthen these relationships and provide a more immediate resource to our students and staff, offering both preventative and responsive support. 3, focus on student well-being. Our primary goal is to create an environment where students feel safe, secure, and supported. Research shows that a strong sense of community, positive relationships with staff, and a proactive approach to mental health support are key to preventing safety issues. We focus on building these positive relationships within the school community through counseling services, social work, and social emotional learning programs. 4, financial responsibility. While safety is always our priority, we also have to consider the financial responsibility we have to our students and community. By not hiring an SRO, we were able to allocate resources towards additional social emotional staffing and student support programs that address the broader needs of our students. While the cost of hiring an SRO is still a concern, I remain committed to revisiting this during our next budget planning cycle to find a way to balance our financial obligations with the safety needs of our students and staff. We value community input and are committed to maintaining a safe, nurturing learning environment for all. As we continue to assess and improve our safety measures, I believe it's important to remain open to various strategies, including the possible future hiring of an SRO to ensure we are doing everything to protect our students and staff.
I think I'll chime in first by saying that we got a lot of information from the New York School Boards Association last year around, we went to the school safety webinar during the annual conference. Also, there were some safety sessions as well. What I came out of a lot of that was an affirmation of the safety measures that we have in place, that they work. A lot of the confusion that I heard from what happened a few weeks ago was sort of around exactly some of the things that Bill, you were talking about, whether we have some of those things. And I really appreciate you clearing that up and making sure that the community knows that we are doing all of those things to keep the school safe. One thing that I will add to the SRO bit is that one of the pieces of information that I also got from NYSBA, New York State School Board Association, is that an SRO does not deter violence in schools. I can share that document with you guys if you don't have it from last year. There are, according to the National Association of SROs, there are more schools in this country that don't have SROs than the ones that they do. That's also true of New York State. That's according to NISBA as well. I know that number fluctuates year to year. But those schools are not the most vulnerable schools in this country. And the reason for that is they have safety plans that work, as do we. I thought that it was very important to go through the full scope of everything that we do. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Bill, for going through that. I think it's important to reiterate, and I think it can be hard sometimes for all of you who are steeped in this every day to have to re-communicate what you're doing, and sometimes it's easy for you to overlook the things that have been in place and that are now second nature to this is just what we do, to people who might not know how ingrained that is into the culture of making sure that our school is safe. And I really appreciate how much you're concerned with this always being an ongoing thing, and it's always developing and finding more and more ways to add more layers. And I think that as we look to what other measures are to be put in place, collaboration with HPD and finding a solution that fits with our school district and fits our needs, I think are crucial. And I appreciate that you continue to look into that. I think if we have more discussions, I think we can center it around, what are the holes, what where we see more layers that could be put in place, and what are the ones that are going to fit for our school district specifically.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that we're doing a little bit more with HPD, and hope that we can continue to look down that avenue as, having them in more places than just on the street by the crosswalk when school starts type of thing. It's great to have them there, but is that the one and only, is that our best and one and only place to have them at that time of day, or is there another location, right? So continuing to look to see what that collaboration could look like through the years. When are the biggest times that we think are needed? What are the different shapes that can take? I think that's good that we've started that process, and I'm glad to hear that we're continuing to look at that.
Yeah, I think that you and your team handled the incident a few weeks ago really well. I feel like the fact that somebody felt like nobody's going to report anything if there's not a lot of trust in the school and in the community. And I feel like the student that maybe started the ball rolling for what happened deserves praise for that.
Absolutely.
Feeling comfortable enough to be able to come to you, and then for you and your team to be able to take that information and decipher it, see how far and you weren't afraid to ask for help to go to the next level. And I think that end result is that a student who needed help is getting help, and that's a great thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that you and your team were able to follow through on that.
Thank you.
I do keep, just for my own self, everybody wants to keep their students safe or their kids safe. I've got 4 kids in the school, everybody has kids in school. But because of that, I do keep up on a lot of research. I'm constantly looking at, the e-clips that we get from NISBA and from School Board Association. I find it very interesting. I'm constantly looking for information that would point me in one way or the other. So far, I still have not seen a lot of information that an SRO is going to be the right fit for our school. And so far as there's not, it's not been shown that they make schools much safer. But I think that all the measures that we are doing are making the school really safe. I'm interested in hearing what else HPD can do to work with our school and keep building that relationship also.
I will continue to have those conversations. And I will say, this particular incident, our safety protocols and procedures worked seamlessly. They were efficient. The threat was made. The threat was reported. The student was detained. The crisis team met, they ran through the protocols, we seeked outside resources, and our procedures worked exactly how they were supposed to work in this particular incident, and I'm proud of how they worked.
Yeah.
And and people were safe. There was, we were reassured by the state police and HPD. There was no immediate threat to the school at the time. There was no reason to go into a lockdown, and that was clearly conveyed. And the student is getting the help they need.
Yeah.
I
And
think
that's
that-
important.
And I know that the hardest part of being a parent, and when we get that message from you,
Mhm.
right, is not knowing. But we have to, as a community, trust. And it's really hard when, and I could get emotional, I am, like, it's really hard when your friends work here, when your children go here, when this is your life, right? You instill, your life is here, because our offspring are here, our kids are here, right? But we have to trust that the knowledge, the information that is shared out is what can be shared out, and it's scary. I mean, I read the letter 16 million times, right? But I have to trust that it would have been a different letter if it wasn't a safe place to send my kids the next day, right? And so it's hard, but we also have to protect all of the other pieces when we share messages out as well.
Mhm.
And so I know that there's a lot of concern. I mean, my phone blew up after, in the sense of like, are you sending your kids to school? And yes, and I said, yes, I am, because I am trusting that it would have been a different letter if I shouldn't,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so we have to understand, and we have to build that trust in, and it is hard. But nobody in this school would want to put our kids in a not okay space. And so I say that here because we hear, all of us
Mhm.
hear you as parents, we're parents here too, right? And we hear you, however, you have to understand and you have to have that piece of trust, because there are things that we didn't even know some things, right? Like, there are things that Bill can and cannot say, because there are other pieces that have to be protected too. And so, although it's hard, just in those moments, read between the lines in the sense of, there are moments that we have to fully trust the words on the paper, and the words on the paper are,
Mhm.
there was no threat. The threat is clear, or whatever the actual
Yep.
words were. I don't have it in my hands. So that's a plea, because I know how hard it was for me, but I also know how many people I heard from, and how many people were wondering, and everybody is, and I get that, and it's a natural reaction, but I do
Yeah,
think
and-
we have to understand also why it can't be more.
Yep. And the seat I sit in, I have the ultimate responsibility of protecting every person that walks in this building. Staff, students, faculty, everybody. And I have a grandchild in this school as well. And I'm always err on the side of caution, and there is no way that I would open this building if I thought anybody was in danger. And there was some critical feedback to me about the vagueness of some of my releases, and in reflection, but I want people to know that there are FERPA laws that I have to follow, and there are personal identifiable information that I cannot release by law. But I have, I took that feedback and I've reflected on it, and have reached out to our attorney and played out some scenarios, what can actually be said, what can't be, and God forbid if we have another threat incident, some of the messaging might be different, but it's going to be circumstantial based on the type of threat as well. You know, if it's this type of threat, there could be more verbiage that could be included. If it's this threat, maybe not. So people need to understand that, you know, the vagueness, you know, while I understand that that may have heightened anxiety, the intent was not to heighten anxiety, but I am bound by things I can say and can't say. And I have to follow the law.
I will say,
Go ahead.
I will say, with the message that came out, I know I appreciated it, and my friends, my parents appreciated the fact that it came out quickly.
Mhm.
So it felt like there was responsibility and there was action being taken to ensure that, yeah, we do have a safe school environment.
Good, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say exactly what you said. I think this is, you know, now that the moment of the immediate action has passed, it's a good time to reflect and
Yeah.
what would be the way to message this in a better way next time. I don't think there's ever a time where we're gonna find a perfect message that's gonna fit every situation,
No.
and it's gonna be, you know, have to act fast, but maybe there's a, you know, this is, you know, maybe we can kind of standardize some of the verbiage that we use in
Mhm.
each situation, so you know, like, this is,
Yeah.
you know, maybe it's key, like, just to say, this is a safe situation, it's under control. We can release more details later.
Right.
Whatever the case may be, and I think that's a really good practice anyway to go through,
Mhm.
even if the message was successful, to reflect on, okay, why did this one work?
Yeah.
And why did this,
Yeah.
go so well, and
Yeah.
how do we make sure that we continue with that? So, I appreciate that reflection. I think it's always a hard part of anything is, like, admitting, like, okay, well, this is criticism, what's the value in the criticism?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times there's no, you know, it's not always immediately apparent why the criticism is valuable, but taking the second to look at it and find what can help you grow from there, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that approach.
There's always areas that this district can grow in. So, and we'll continue to identify them and reflect on them and try to do things better.
I appreciate everybody taking the time. I mean, we've been talking for a little while. We're always open to talking about safety of our school environment. But I think that it was very important for all of us to be able to do that tonight and to start, you know, not to start, but to continue, as we've said, that we will continue to talk, we will continue to look, and we'll continue to make improvements where we can and keep these conversations going. So I'm trying to move the meeting along, but if there is more, obviously, I'm not trying to stop anybody from talking either, but I felt like I gave people time. And thoughts? Good there for tonight? Okay. That brings us to general participation, if anybody chooses. As I look at the one and only, Brenton, come on up.
Hi, Brendan Sullivan. I'll just respond to a few of the things that were spoken tonight. I'd like to thank Mark for his report mentioning phones. It was really good to get that feedback from him in his report on how that new phone policy is working in the middle school. It was especially useful to get that from you, Colin. And I thought you did such a thorough job. Maybe we should all take note in terms of how you made and deployed the survey and got that feedback. That was really great. So thank you. And I'll reiterate what everyone else said, Amanda and others. Thank you for your messages about the incident. I found them very reassuring. I
Thank
didn't
you.
find anything about them vague. I thought, you were very clear there is no imminent threat. And you laid out in the Hamilton Safety Committee laid out in subsequent messages, all the different aspects of our safety plan, which went over tonight, and even more to come. And I find that all super reassuring. I think we should also remind ourselves that this could have been your child that made the threat. It could have been my child, your grandchild that made the threat. I think it's easy to lose sight of that with the news headlines and the big dangers that seem to lurk on the horizon. And I say that because we're talking about children and adolescents after all. I say this as one myself, when I was a middle school student, made a big serious mistake once. Not this kind of mistake, but a big serious mistake. And had it not been for a very caring administrator and parents with means, I think the consequences, I was punished, but I think the consequences would have been even graver and would have been major obstacles to my development and my success as later in my life. So, I do wonder, I actually have a question about what the Hamilton school policy is with regard to police questioning students. What is our position on them questioning students when both administrators and parents are not present? And that I think is an important question to ask ourselves. Again, after all, it could be my child that was the culprit here. As far as SROs, I'll just build on what Sung was saying a moment ago. Based on what I've read and understand about the issue, there's no evidence that they prevent violence in schools. Meanwhile, there is evidence that having an SRO in the school increases the chances that minority children and children with emotional behavioral disorders are arrested or adjudicated for what is otherwise normal childhood or adolescent behavior. Just having a police officer around makes it more likely that certain individuals, certain kids end up going through the judicial process. So that for me is another reason not to go down that road. The bigger reason though is the very robust safety plan that you outlined earlier. I'd finally just suggest that we go to the school safety team and the people that have been named tonight, the teachers, the counselors, the school psychologists, the administrators that are on that response team, and ask them how the protocol's working, right? Review, post after the fact, after some time, how did that work, and what additional resources might we need to make it work, to continue to make it work effectively. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I just clarify something?
Sure.
Just, when you asked about the policy on interrogations, were you asking what the policy is, or you have questions about the actual policy?
No, just the policy, what it is.
Okay, it is on
It
our,
is.
we do have
I
one,
saw
we can share it with you.
And it was at the top is contact the police, and then make sure everybody's safe for 4 or 5 other bullet points, and then notify the parents.
There is a policy on interrogation and search of the students.
There is.
We can share with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see no more community participation online, so we will move to the nightlight and turn it over to Mr. Daslin.
So next week is School Board's Recognition Week. So this is always a fun time to recognize our board members for the countless hours that you volunteer and the support you give our district and how much you mean to our learning community. So I just wanted to take this time to thank you on behalf of the New York State School Boards Association. We have some signs that were made from our students,
The
and
cutest.
They are the best.
we have
Thank you.
some goodies that I would like to present to you. These are all, not all, but most of them are student-made that you will certainly appreciate. So this is for you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all you do, Michelle. Thank you.
It's my favorite part of the,
I know.
in the meeting, so.
Amanda,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Dear BOE, thank you for supporting our visual arts program at HCS.
Colin,
So cute.
Son.
Thank you, Mrs. Jacobson. With fingerprints, I think it is. Ah. And all these signatures.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
So on
BOE.
behalf of our students, our faculty and staff, administrators, everybody, every employee of HCS, thank you, thank you, thank you. we appreciate you and we value you so much as you help to lead our district. So, thank you.
Pasta sauce. Sorry, I'm showing the fun things. I mean, everything's fun, but.
in here. What are these coasters?
Coasters.
Coasters, big one.
Coasters made by ag mechanics.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And then there's some candy and coffee.
Colin, you have a mug in there with.
How did you know I like coffee?
Well, thank you, everybody.
These are so great.
Appreciate it.
These are like serious business.
Yeah, they're nice, aren't they?
Yes.
So those were
Super
cut
nice.
and laser engraved by the ag mechanics class under the direction of Morgan Larson and Johanna Bozzard, and then sealed.
Sealed even.
Yeah.
Wow, they're so nice.
Well, I will be putting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the notes are cute, aren't they?
They're so great.
We will have executive session tonight. We will not be voting after executive session, so we will be turning the video off and not be turning it back on. But very much appreciate those that watched, and Brendan for coming, HTA for coming. Very much appreciate the time that Colin puts into this board and having him here, and thank you. I need a motion to adjourn to executive discussion pertaining collective negotiation, collective bargaining, current or ongoing litigation, and the employment history of particular individuals.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And we'll take a 5-minute recess.
Thanks, Meg.
Thank you, Meg. And thank you so much for the signs.
Bill.
They, first thing I noticed when I walked in, and they are so great. I love it. I love it.
Thank
And
you.
we love to receive it.
Did you get the poster?